Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the Chancellor, to the Vice Chancellor, to the Dean, to all the distinguished faculty, to all the parents, all the students, and everyone present here. It is truly an honor for me to come here and have the opportunity to talk to you. Today is your day. There is no dispute about it. Today is your day because today is the day on which you step from studentship into work life. Today is the day when also you will get a lot of gyan from various people. Everyone will give you an advice on what it takes to be successful in life. But one of the greatest joys I have is that I have absolutely no control over your life. It is for you to make your life. And all that I can do is to share with you a few lessons, a few things that might be of some relevance to you, but you can turn around and say, look, this is a past generation. As a father also, I can understand that the children will always say, Papa, ye aapka zamane ki baat hai. Our time is going to be different. And indeed, your time is going to be different. But there are still a few rules, a few ways in which you look at life, which will not change dramatically. And it is my privilege to share them with you. And if it appeals to you, I'm gratified. If it doesn't appeal to you, of course, you have the choice to do exactly what you please. Today is an important day because you are also satisfying the hopes and ambitions of not just your distinguished teachers at IILM University, but also the hopes and aspirations of your parents. Remember that your parents will be always your best well-wishers in your life. There's no one, you might not like their crustiness, you might not like their directness, you may not like their attitude sometimes, but the fact is that your parents are your best well-wishers. Nobody can be better than them. So I really want to take this opportunity to congratulate all the parents, as a parent myself, because this is the end of one part of your journey as parents and also the beginning of another part of your journey where you see your children flower and become better, more wholesome, more professional, and more giving human beings. And the greatest joy that we will ever have in our lives is not the quality of our own careers, but it is the achievement of our children. And what is the purpose of my coming and talking to you today is that you are the future of this country. If I have taken out time to come and talk to you, it is because I'm interested in the future of this country. So what are a few things that I have learned in my own life? Firstly, don't try and plan your life. I think one of the mistakes we make in life is we start by wanting to plan everything. ये डिग्री ले ली, यहाँ जाना है, ये प्रमोशन लानी है, ये अचीवमेंट करनी है, भैया भूल जाओ. Times have changed. I was recounting to some of the distinguished people in the room that I wanted to be like Dr. Qureshi, an IAS officer, और बन गया मैगी नूडल बेचने वाला. Very different from where I set out to be. So take the journey with the flow. Don't try and control the flow all the time because the flow sometimes is not under your control. But one thing I want to leave you with is to be clear about what is it that you want to be. Know who you are. It's not too late. Know who you are, know what you believe in, and what do you want of life. I think it's important to define for yourself, not in exact terms, but in terms of the direction that you wish to take as a human being. मैं कौन हूँ, क्या चाहता हूँ, और कैसे चाहता हूँ. And that will determine the course of your life. When you are 60, when you are 70, it's too late. You can't turn around and say, I wish काश मैं ये बनता तो. That's not going to happen. Clarity means who you are, what you want, and what you believe in. The second aspect that becomes important in a world that has become more challenging, more volatile, more difficult. Your world is a more challenging world than the world that I have been through. When I was like you, finishing my master's degree, I didn't have the privilege, I am underqualified as compared to all of you. आप लोग सब MBA वाले हैं, I am a master's in economics, अर्थशास्त्र. So when I finished and passed out like you, the world was still a more together place. You still had opportunities. You still had jobs. You still had the capability to decide what you wanted to be and when you wanted to be, because it was a small pool and it was a small catchment area. Today it has become a vast world. Today is the internet universe. And in this internet universe, your opportunities are many and yet the challenges are many. But the one thing that remains constant, and I would urge you, and I think Dr. Qureshi said that beautifully, it is not from where you get your degree, but how competent you are. Ultimately, it is competence that matters. 10 years from now, nobody will ask you, आपने कहाँ से MBA किया या कहाँ से degree हासिल किया आपने. Nobody really bothers. Nobody's ever asked me. Most people assume that I am from one of the IIMs. So चालू करते हैं, सर आप IIM कौन से इसमें थे? मैंने कहा भैया मैं उसके दरवाजे मैंने देखे नहीं हैं. But then it is sheer competence, it is sheer the way in which you work, the way in which you absorb, the way in which you do your work that matters. So you climb only when you excel in what you do now. आपकी generation बहुत ही बेचैन generation है. You want to get tomorrow today. Your lives are about Facebooks and of course forget Facebooks now. It's about Instagrams, even Twitter has now gone, अभी coup आ गई है. Right? But then ultimately your success is going to be on your competence. And don't ever forget that competence means not just doing what you're doing well today, but doing well tomorrow. Which means continuous learning. डिग्री ले लिया, सर्टिफिकेट ले ली, फ्रेम कर दिया घर में, ड्राइंग रूम में रख दिया. मेरे ज़माने में तो ड्राइंग रूम में रखते थे. आज के ज़माने में प्रॉब्ली you do a scan of it and keep it, store it on your laptop. That's a different point altogether. But this is only the passport to your job. ये और कुछ नहीं है, ये passport है. Your teachers, your institution has enabled you to get a passport to get into a role and hopefully to do something with your lives. But unless you continuously upgrade yourself, you will find yourself on the wrong side of competence. You will become a dinosaur in this age very, very quickly. And that is what you have to guard against. You have to constantly upgrade your skills, constantly learn, which means that you have to adapt an attitude of humility. I'm very fond of Kabir Dohas. About the greatest thing that this country has contributed are the Dohas of Kabir. 700 years ago, what the savant said is true today. It will be true in the next 700 years also. But yet, we look at different philosophers and Western philosophers and Eastern philosophers and say, unhone kaisa kya? I want to quote Kant and I want to quote Wittgenstein and I want to quote X and Y and Z. Our own Kabir said, बुरा जो देखन मैं चला बुरा न मिलिया कोई जो दिल खोजा अपना मुझसा बुरा न कोई. Have that attitude towards your competence as well. That's the only way you learn. The only way in which you learn is to have the humility to say, I don't know it. And none of us know it. If you ask me today, you invited me because I'm the chairman and managing director of a company. Naam bade aur darshan chote. What I know about management is probably 1% of 1% of what there is to know. And yet I have spent 40 years of my career. So it's important that you constantly focus on competence. The third element, credibility. Credibility is as sure as sunrise, as clear as a pond. No surprises. you seldom focus on credibility. You keep changing yourself. Girgit ban jate ho. Change to the circumstance. But your credibility is formed only when you are constant in a circumstance. If you are a nasty person, continue to be nasty. If you are a nice person, continue to be nice. I remember when I first started my career, I had a particularly nasty boss. And the nasty bosses are the best bosses. You learn a lot from them. So when this nasty boss ever got to be very sweet with me, Are Suresh, ye thoda soch lo. I used to think, aage, kayamat pad gayi. Next, something is going to come which I don't like. But when you are credible, in good times and in bad times, you are looked up to by people. When there is a crisis and you are going to face more crisis than what I can even dream of. Every day, earlier we had crises once in a while. I myself have been through difficult situations in my career. And yet when I look back and think, those crises are probably very small. Today, there is a geopolitical crisis. There is an economic crisis. There is a crisis of inequality. There is a crisis of unemployment. There is a crisis of deprivation. There is a crisis of character. And combating all this would mean that you have to keep your credibility strong. Next characteristic is something that is found rarely, not only among politicians, not only among social leaders, but also in the corporate world. And that is courage. Courage is not a characteristic that we reward in any situation. Ji sir, yes sir, thank you sir. Sir, because of you, the sun rises in the east, sir. Because of you, the sun sets in the west, sir. We don't say what we have to say. But remember one thing, that the more senior you become as leaders, the more you need courageous people on your team. Sir, आप तो south जा रहे हो जब आपको north जाना है. And courage doesn't mean telling your boss which idiot promoted you. That is called a career limiting move. And let me tell you that courage does not mean arrogance, does not mean stupidity. But if you can get across your point quietly and with definitiveness, you become a far more successful professional. So don't forget your courage. Courage is not honking on the road. Courage is not bashing the other guy up and saying that, look, I am a stronger person than you. Courage means the ability to stand up and say, look, sir, there is a better way of doing things. Or there could be an alternate solution. Or whichever way you look at it. And many of us have been rewarded for courage, because courage is something that nobody can say no to. But few will embrace, because it is more difficult to embrace courage than it is to dispel courage. The next characteristic, concentration. ये आपके जनरेशन में बिल्कुल है ही नहीं. व्हाट्सएप भी करोगे, इंस्टा भी करोगे, ट्विटर भी करोगे, कू भी करोगे, पढ़ाई भी करोगे, गाना भी सुनोगे, खाना भी खाओगे, पेरेंट्स को भी टोकोगे, गर्लफ्रेंड से भी बात करोगे, सब कुछ करोगे. It's called multitasking. But let me tell you an honest, researched truth. Multitasking is the most unproductive thing on this planet. हमारे जमाने में कुछ था नहीं, ना मोबाइल फोन था, ना टीवी था. We focused on a few things in our lives and we got it right. Focus on one thing single-mindedly. You want to be a great coder, be a great coder and do everything that you need to do to become a great coder. नहीं, मुझे कोडर भी बनना है, मुझे प्रोग्राम मैनेजर भी बनना है, मुझे मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर भी बनना है, मुझे म्यूजिशियन भी बनना है, मुझे डॉक्टर भी बनना है. It doesn't work that way. So get your mind clear from clarity that a few things I will do and I'll get it right. And in all our lives, we will achieve only a few things. घूम फिर के देखेंगे कि यार इतना लाइफ लीड किया है, पाया क्या है? A few things. Good relationships, a healthy night's sleep, a good body, a decent living, good children, parents who feel that you have contributed in their lives. That's about it. You're not going to hold the planet on your shoulder. So learn to concentrate. Next part, which we always forget, creative. Learn that creativity is part of your job. When I started my career in Hindustan Lever as a management trainee, I was posted to do sales, to sell dalda. उस जमाने में डालडा वनस्पति बनती थी कंपनी की. And my prayer was कि I was studying in Delhi School of Economics. My prayer was कि कहीं मुझे कमला नगर में पोस्टिंग न दे, because प्रोफेसर आके देखेगा पूरा अच्छा तू इतना पढ़ के तो डालडा डब्बे साफ कर रहा है, right? But fortunately, I was posted in Rajasthan. They posted me in Rajasthan in the peak of summer. And my job was, amongst putting up posters and buntings and all that, was also to clean dalda tins. Because the company had said that time that no consumer buys a dirty tin, which is true. और tin कौन साफ करेगा? Automatic cleaner भी नहीं थी, Roborock भी नहीं था, कुछ नहीं था. So you had to clean it yourself. And when you looked at it and you said, sometimes, अरे यार मैंने monetary economics में master's degree पा के मैं डालडा डब्बा साफ कर रहा हूँ, right? But that's what it is. That's what your job is. So I said, I will establish my credibility by being the best cleaner of dalda tins. And that's what I did. So my sales supervisor came, he said, यार tin तो चमक रही है. मैंने कहा सर मेरे हाथ जो हैं फौलादी हैं, मजबूत हैं, right? It was my way of showing that I was creative in what I was doing. It's a simple example. You people are doing all fintech and you're doing all kinds of advanced stuff, and maybe your creativity is far more. Of course, don't land up like that SGX fellow and do things of wiping out a $14 billion empire. That's a different thing altogether. Don't get into that kind of creativity, but creativity of a positive kind. And creativity is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. And many times we are our own worst enemies. We say, ki, bhai, I'm not creative. I am not Pandit Ravi Shankar. I am not Amitabh Bachchan. Who cares? You don't have to be that. You have to be that in your job. Your profession is not an actor or a musician. Your profession is to do the job that you're given. So please don't leave creativity, because creativity keeps your job going and keeps your interest going, even when everything around you is bad. And that is an important element of your life. The next one, I believe in my own life I've seen, is constraints. Constraints is 80% of all obstacles to success comes with constraints. We always say कि भाई हम तो कर नहीं सकते, हमारे बस की बात नहीं है. And there are enough people. You yourself will say it, then your boss will say it, then your mother will say it, बेटा मत करो, धूप में जाना तकलीफ है, घर में बैठे रहो, right? Don't do this, don't do that, this is not right, that is not right, औरत हो ऐसे काम नहीं करते, वगैरह 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 वगैरह. Things are changing today, but nevertheless constraints are the worst things in your life. Kabir said it beautifully. He said, जिन ढूंढा तिन पाइयां गहरे पानी पैठी, मैं बूढ़ी डूबन डरी रही किनारे बैठी. Unless you get down into the sea, मोती नहीं मिलने वाले. If you keep looking at constraints, you will keep looking at constraints. You will be booty dubandari. That's it. You're scared of drowning yourself. And therefore you will be in that corner on the shores. You will not be in the sea to hunt for it. So do it, but do it when you are sure and when you are competent and when you feel that this is something that I am capable of. And therefore, managing constraints is an important part of your life. The next part, and one or 2 points I'll leave you with. It has always been said that management is a tough act. You have to be tough, you have to be difficult, you have to be nasty. You have to show people that you are the boss. All that is true. But there's one element I would request you never to lose, because that is the most important aspect of being a human. And the Dalai Lama once said, he said, this is the most underutilized emotion in a person. Compassion. Compassion is being like a coconut. Tough on the outside, but soft on the inside. Never compromise the human spirit that you have. Never compromise, never think that what you have got is permanent. Right? All of us have been through life. All of us have done well. I am today the chairman of a big company. Tomorrow I will not be. My ability to deal with a fellow human being should be the same, whether I am the chairman of a company or whether I am a retired chairman of a company or indeed not a chairman of a company. What difference does it make? There is no permanency in our lives. There is no permanency in what we achieve. You achieve it for a moment. Apply the same for the words that you use as well. Today is an age when our words have become rough, nasty, difficult. Politeness is gone. Sabhyata chali gayi hai. Kabir said this beautifully. Aisi bani boliye, man ka apa khoye, auran ko sheetal kare, aapo sheetal hoye. Get across even the most difficult things with the sweetest of words. How does it harm you? Today you look at it. I have stopped watching some programs on television because I just find it so offensive. So offensive. The language, the tone, the tenor, the feeling, the underlying current. You say, is this what education is? Is this what society is? Is this what culture is? My plea to you as youngsters, you have a life ahead. Many of us have spent more than 2/3 of our lives. And we'll probably change and some of us won't change. But you have a future ahead. And there is a future in being polite, in being kind, in being compassionate. You can be successful. Nice guys can also win. Nice women can also win. You don't have to be rough and difficult and nasty and ambitious and crude and corrupt in order to succeed in this world. You can have your niche, you can do what you do, but do it well. And the last point, and this is controversial, and you will say, coming from a successful corporate, why is he even saying it? But I honestly believe in life, you need contentment. You need contentment. If you envy success, and we all do envy success, you're going to be welcome to 2 or 3 things in life. One, you'll get ulcers, for sure. Second, थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही हुआ तो heart attack भी हो सकती है. तीसरा, and more importantly, you will ruin the relationships in your family. You will not have a good family relationship because you're constantly envious of somebody else. And when you're working in an office, अरे यार सुशील की promotion हो गई, अरे यार नेहा की promotion हो गई, नेहा तो boss की favorite है, right? Never be competence. It will always be some bloody stupidity that will be attributed. And why is Sushil? Because वो चापलूसी करता है. So we always find a reason why we should negate the positive feeling that we can ever have. And therefore don't envy success. Be content with what life gives you. That doesn't mean become complacent. There's a difference between complacence and contentment. Complacence is Bhagwan bharose. अरे भैया ऊपर से दिया तो दिया, नहीं दिया तो बस I'm going to accept it. Contentment is when you have done your best and done everything in your control to do what you want to do, and still you get what you get. That should be contentment. Because when you are envious of success, you don't know the road that the other person is on. Uski kya takleefein hain, you have no idea. You only look at the glitter and glamour of success. I know we are in a materialistic world. I know the brand of the car and the brand of the handbag and the brand of the dress matters. Enjoy your lives. But remember 2 things. At the end of it all, you have to answer your own conscience and say, have I lived a good life? Have I lived an honest life? Have I pursued good habits? Have I done the right things? And above all, am I happy and am I content? Today is an important day. I take the opportunity as a senior, as an elder, to give you my choicest best wishes and my choicest blessings. To do well in your lives, to live full lives. And I want to congratulate you as you get your degrees. If anything of what I have said is of some use to you, I'm delighted. If it is not, then you can just say that these are the ramblings of an old man who has been given an opportunity of an audience. Whichever way you take it, I accept it. Thank you all very much and have a great day.